There's something I've said for a very long period of time, and it continues to hold up time and time again, and that is that price is the lagging metric. It is always the last thing to move. And some people have said that, ADA here throughout this market cycle has been lagging in terms of price, and we'll have that brief discussion here in just a moment. But what we're seeing from this data is that fundamentally ADA continues to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's leading us to this point where there is likely to be a huge supply shock for ADA and the crypto market. And again, I want to talk about this with you guys. We've discussed this since all the way back in 2022, 2023, but the numbers from this last year alone are shocking. So everybody needs to make sure they're prepared. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So I have to say that in this market cycle alone, just right now, where ADA price is currently at, it's up about 4x from the bear market lows. And that would have been all the way back in June of 2023, if I remember correctly. There we go, June of 2023. So ADA in the last 2 years has basically done a 4x. And we get so spoiled in the crypto market that some people think a 4x in 2 years is bad. It's really not bad. Now, that being said, is that on par with what some of the lower cap cryptos have done, or what some assets that have had institutional interest or ones that have had VCs pumping the price have done? No, some of them have done much, much better. And that's fine. I've said that many times. Those assets, it's not surprising that they've been driven to do much, much better earlier on in the market cycle. But you have to ask yourself, where does ADA tend to perform its best? And again, it happens to be when retail's flocking to the market, when excitement is high. And right now we're entering some times where that's likely to be the case again, where retail excitement is high. Maybe we can get some a little bit of adoption. Maybe we can get some big adoption. Need to see that big push into the crypto market. But what we've seen during this time is a lot of these larger entities in the space have truly been positioning themselves. And that's what we've been talking about. This whole early part of this cycle has been about positioning, making sure quantity wise you have what you need before times get exciting. We have some big embrace coming to the crypto market. They're obviously going to start pushing to the masses very soon. Big thing out of the UK as well. The UK is actually scheduled to remove its ban on Bitcoin ETFs this week. So we're starting to see this bigger embrace around the world. But one thing that people haven't paid attention to, a lot of people just pay attention to charts and that's all they care about. Many people don't pay attention to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, they don't lead you astray. They tend to show you the moves before the moves actually take place. And I've actually looked at exchange supply for ADA for a very long period of time. And it's one of the reasons that I started talking about Cardano in the first place and ADA in the first place. One, I saw the opportunity that exists from the developments within the ecosystem. They've been big. We've obviously had some big rollouts over the course of this market cycle, and there are even bigger things still coming to the ecosystem, which I think are huge. But this conviction in terms of holders, I think, has been one of the most interesting things. And I'm curious to see how this plays out. And why I'm saying that is in this last year alone, people may not know this, but there's only been 2 weeks of exchange supply inflows in terms of ADA. So what we've been dealing with over the last year has been heavy removal of supply from exchanges. And this has been a very consistent theme since all the way back in the height of the last market cycle, but the conviction has grown stronger and stronger and stronger. And I started breaking down this data. As you guys know, we talked about this maybe back here in like June or May or so. I think it was May. And even since July alone, we have seen $645 million worth of ADA removed from exchanges. But I want to look at just this last year because this is going to be a very shocking number for people. Since November of last year, since that first week in November, so not even a full year yet, we have seen $2.5 billion worth of ADA removed from exchanges. If you average this out over price, it equates to over 10% of the supply. We have seen 10% of the available supply of ADA in the market removed from exchanges during this time. And people think that we are not going to see a supply shock. If we have the same demand that we had in November of last year, or the same rush of capital into the market that we had this last year, what do you think that can do to ADA? With now very thin liquidity in the market, with very little resistance to the upside, with the developments that we have taking place. It's not hard to connect the dots. People choose to fade it and ignore it. And that's okay, because eventually it's This is exactly what leads to massive surges. It's exactly what leads to big surprises in terms of price. And this is the exact thing that wouldn't surprise me, or that would lead us to this point where it wouldn't surprise me if ADA does what it did last market cycle. We've talked about a lot of consistency in terms of price and structure, and we're about at that point where last market cycle, ADA woke up and was one of the best performing blue chip assets, where it had this, gosh, what was it, like a 16 or 1800% surge as we got into the year following the halving. It's like we've talked about, things have been somewhat extended in this market cycle alone, but supply shock is a very real possibility here. And again, it wouldn't surprise me. A lot of times, as we've seen some excitement in the market, especially over the last year, ADA's been one of the better performers. And I'm not comparing that to the small rinky-dinky, $100 million market caps or anything like that. I'm comparing it to other blue chip assets in the space. I want to remind everybody that back in March on the Strategic Crypto Reserve News, ADA was the best performer of those assets listed. On some of these pumps recently, ADA had been one of the better performers. And now we're getting to the point where on a fundamental level, ADA's prepped for some very large moves. And all we just, again, need is some excitement. We need conviction to remain high. And if we keep chipping away at supply, guys, I can't even fathom what ADA can get to, but we're still going to need adoption. We're still going to need the masses to start flowing into the crypto market. And now that BTC has set this all-time high, I've already seen some changes in terms of optics outside the crypto market. I went through the analytics this morning, looked at a lot of this, what Google searches are looking like, and we have seen all these kind of resume their tick to the upside. So retail is starting to pay attention once again. And this week, pay attention, because the media outlets, they're going to be talking about Bitcoin. They're going to be talking about crypto. People are going to start searching it once again. And this might lead us to a pretty big wave across the space. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I appreciate you as always. The wheels are in motion. You're not stopping what's coming. Big things are going to be coming to the crypto market. Embrace is going to be larger. ETFs are going to be launched. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.